Let's bring in Justin Farmer, CEO of Exit Wealth, an Atlanta-based wealth management firm. Justin, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Let's go through and scroll through that long list of countries you'll see behind me that the president held up yesterday. Looking at this list of some of these countries aren't actually getting hit with true reciprocal tariffs, but tariffs that are less than what they are imposing on the U.S. Help us break this all down. And at the end of the day, Justin, how does it impact consumers?
Yeah, Joe, thank you. Good morning. So as you look through it carefully, when you think about Canada and countries in Europe, those are going to be more food items. Yes, autos, but really you're talking a lot more food items. When you move to the Asian nations, especially non-China, so Cambodia, Vietnam, that's where we get a lot of our footwear and apparel, and they're going to be hit really hard. And so that's going to affect the prices we pay at some juncture. The goal, of course, being that, look, in the 60s and 70s, the textile plants across the deep south, we made our own clothing, we made our own shoes, and then all of that got offshored due to various economic policies. And so a lot of what this is about is trying to onshore those jobs, protect the jobs that are here, and try to get companies to be simply incentivized to bring those jobs back to the United States. That's the goal.
I'm glad you just said that. You just said project jobs that are here, project jobs that are here. I'm going to give you a real world example 4.5 hours away from you. It is the port of Brunswick, Georgia. It is the busiest roll-on, roll-off auto port in the U.S., just 4.5 hours from where you are in Atlanta. Trump is imposing, in fact, today, a 25% tariff impacting car imports. How will these tariffs impact those port jobs there and all of the auto dealerships you see around you that are in Atlanta, are in Georgia, are in the South? How does it impact real world people like that?
Yeah, so two parts to that question, Joe, and very insightful. I've been to that port of Brunswick, and it's just kept growing and growing. And so what you're going to see in the auto industry are a couple of things. It's really about the duration of these tariffs. I think it's somewhat implausible to imagine that these tariffs will stay at these elevated levels over a prolonged period of time. This is clearly the president and his economist efforts to level the playing field. But while they do stay elevated, what you're going to see is that for a while, people will be more incentivized to buy those cars and trucks that are, look, made right down the road from you in Arlington, Texas, and Fort Wayne, Indiana plants. So the cars and trucks that are made here, the opportunity is certainly there for them to be cheaper than cars coming in from overseas. As it relates to the port, specifically in those jobs, it's very hard to go do a bunch of rehiring. So I would not anticipate mass layoffs unless these tariffs were to stay in place longer than anyone's predicting right now, Joe.
Yeah, maybe it's a hold steady right now, a wait and see type of mentality. All right, so Justin, U.S. stocks plunged in after hours trading as investors digested President Trump's tariff. In fact, looking at Wall Street right now, all three major indexes are down this morning. What is it specifically that the president sees that many economists are not, especially those warning about the negative impact of this plan?
Let's look at this like fitness and a little bit of short-term pain for long-term gain. And it really applies to what we're seeing on a macro level and also to your approach when you're investing. We love periods like this. It stinks for a few days and it hurts while you're doing that extra rep in the gym. And that analogy fits because here's why. If there are rare moments in any given 5-10 year period where you get what we call fantastic entry points into the stock market. Look at the early part of 2020, of course, the onslaught of COVID. If you were buying stocks March, April, May, June of 2020, you've made a fortune since then. Of course, you go to the Great Recession of 2008. If you had any cash available or you were getting out of your money market accounts, I hope you were buying great companies like Home Depot. And what that does is it gives you immense upside in the event that you're smart enough to hold on to those investments. So for our investors in our company, the folks that we manage their wealth, we are encouraging them right now, those companies you've been wanting to buy, those great names, they are being kicked in the teeth right now. And it's an artificial short-term pain, as I would put it. And long-term, you're going to come out smelling like a rose in our view.
All right, so we got to go through some economic burpees right now in the short term. Justin Farmer, we appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for your insight.